Well, yesterday was a pretty exciting day for us Wolves players, wasn't it? How many of you tried to and/or were able to score the new box set? You know, the excellent part about yesterday was YouTube is full of content right now. And I really haven't seen anything bad come from this. You know, most of the whining that I've seen has been on Facebook. Um, it the crowd that was definitely on the side of the furry part of the Wolves are definitely disappointed boys today. Um, I, as a practicing heathen, am very pleased with the direction that this army is finally taking. Um, Finally taking cues from the Norse and the Viking side of things. Sorry, I'm watching the mini Skald today. My only disappointment is the lack of the Sky Claws. I'd have liked to see new Sky Claws models, but before I was just going to take Assault Intercessors and get the Primal Hounds bits to turn them into Sky Claws anyways. I'm just going to do Assault Intercessors with jump packs. Problem solved. And I'm not going to run a ton of them anyways, especially with the new rules coming out. In my next list being Blood Maws, we're going heavy with the fast wolfy boys, the choppy boys. There is definitely a lot of room for thematic lists with this. It's definitely going to take away the mix and match meta stuff, from Space Marines, plucking stuff from Space Marines lists to put into this, which I like. You know, what's the point of running wolves if you're just painting Space Marines to look like wolves? I don't know. I just don't like those two things mixing together a whole lot. I think a lot of the meta chasers and competitive guys were playing Space Marines and using Space Wolves characters is pretty much what they were doing. However, this does take, from everything that I'm seeing, and I'll know when my book arrives, this does, I think, bring a thematic Space Wolves list utilizing more Space Wolves models and making them a competitive Space Wolves army standalone on their own, with adding a lot from Space Marines things. Obviously, like running a Land Raider or running a Rhino for transports. But with the movement, you really don't need a lot of those things. By and large, going back to my previous videos of what my predictions were, I was spot on. Again, the only thing that I missed was the Hounds of Mordecai. I thought they'd stay, and I thought we'd keep Skyclaws. I'm stoked that Wolfen have 2 data slates. That's gonna be a thing. My plan was to run Ironstorm Spearhead for my Iron Wolves. However, I think that with these new detachments, I think they're great. I think they're phenomenal. I think we're about to see a lot of competitive Space Vikings. I have to admit that I was secretly hoping the Thunderwolf Cav would go away. And that's just me being a dick. I figured the characters were all going away, but I think Thunderwolf Cavalry are stupid and cartoony. I think I don't know. It's dumb. But, I mean, I'm never going to run them anyways, but that was the one thing I was kind of secretly rooting for that would go away. And I never really was gonna run Arjak Rockfist or Logan Grimnar in any of my stuff, but with the way that the rules are, I think I'm gonna have to. I'm envisioning my Blood Maws a little bit heavy on the Blood Claws, uh, maybe a little extra dash of Wolfen, and maybe a 1-2 punch of some deep striking Terminators. I really can't see a need for anything else. The way that these weapons are doing damage now, and the monster hunting ability, maybe one Iron Priest and a Razorback for some extra punch. But, you know, shout out to Tabletop Tactics for putting out the first good battle report. I'm excited to see their teas for their 13th company. And then, you know, Kieran had some good takes, the Kieran show, and he's an interesting mind. You know, Vanguard Tactics, I think they're whatever. But they had a really good breakdown of the Codex last night. You know, immediately they're trying to find the meta in it because that's what they do. And I think that's late. And I think that they're missing a giant portion of the game by doing that. But what did you think of it? What are your favorite parts? My favorite parts are Blood Claws and Wolfen, I think, for this edition. I think they're going to be nasty.